All right, let's call to order the regular board meeting of USD 420. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as mailed.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries 7-0. Delegation, nobody came to see us. Organization of officers, number 1, election of president.
I'd like to nominate Jay. I'll second for president.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to nominate Mike.
Second that.
Okay, we have first motion by Jay, or by Corey, I'm sorry. Seconded by Brant, we need to vote on.
Jay, you have to vote on your nomination by Corey. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Aye. Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Your meeting.
I guess we have to do election of vice president. Do we have a motion?
I nominate Dave.
Second that.
Tell me again who was nominated.
Dave.
Seconded. So a motion first and second. Vote. Where do I start? Did I start over here still? Where we go next?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-2.
6-1.
6-1, sorry. So I'm deaf over here. Appointment of district treasurer.
Pam Whitmer.
That's just, I was gonna say, we just.
These are just
appointed her.
appointments, yeah.
Board clerk Patty Bruner. Deputy clerk,
Michelle Martin.
appointment of attorney.
Usually we go with Michael Kaufman and also we list KSB because we deal with them mostly.
Establish regular board meeting date and time. Second Wednesday of each month, 7 p.m. Designate depositories.
All banks and OCHC.
Appointment of representative matters pertaining to federal funds. That would be you, would it not, Troy?
Yes.
Did we do the newspaper?
Newspaper, it'd be Osage County Herald Chronicle.
I did. Oh, designate official district newspaper, Osage County Chronicle.
Yeah.
Appointments of Capers representative.
That's Patty.
Appointment of truant officers would be for USD 420 for the school year 2021, that'd be the principals.
Mhm.
Adoption of 1,116-hour calendar resolution. Adoption of home rule resolution.
We'll have to take a motion on that one, Jay. On those resolutions.
1116-hour.
You don't have, if you don't wanna read it all, I would say you wouldn't have to. But if you want to, you can. You could just make a motion to pass the 1,116-hour resolution.
That's what we'll do. We'll make a motion to adopt a resolution that school term for 2021 shall consist of a minimum of 465 hours for kindergarten, 1,116 hours for grades 1 through 11, and 1,086 hours for grade 12 as recommended by the State Department of Education.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is gonna be weird.
Division.
Sounds good. Now you're right, figure out where I'm at. Adoption to waive the annual requirement of general accepted accounting principles and fixed asset accounting.
Go back to Ellen.
Adoption of home rule resolution? I thought we did that one. Oh, I skipped it, didn't I? So we gotta make a motion or anything for that?
This is not hard. You do not have all the notes that you
If you had somebody wouldn't have told me all this stuff. So Troy, can I just cover this as what? Just make a motion to establish a home rule?
Yes,
Board
I
of
just
Education.
say a motion to pass the resolution for home rule.
So I'll make the motion to pass the adoption of the home rule resolution.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye. Adoption to waive, or I'll make a motion for the adoption to waive the annual requirement of general accepted accounting principles and fixed asset accounting.
Second, aye.
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 I make a motion for rescinding policy statements found in board meetings.
Second, aye.
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 Appoint special education board representative. Mike, do you still wanna do that?
I'm not interested.
Who are the current alternates for that?
Corey and Jay.
Corey and Jay.
Yeah.
So does anybody want to do the special education board?
When do they meet?
Is that the one
Second
in,
Monday
is
of
that
the
Three
month.
Lakes?
They meet, yeah, it's the second
Yes.
Monday at Three Lakes meetings. They have their own board, like we do, but a representative from each district goes.
Is it the second Monday?
Second Monday, usually, yeah, second Monday. At the Three Lakes building in Linden.
I mean, I'll do it if, nobody else wants to do it, and then we just get some backup people too, like we had before.
I can be a backup. Yeah,
Really?
just Mondays don't always work out very good.
I can be one also.
Kelly, I'll make you first alternate
Okay,
and Brett, I'll do the second.
sounds good.
Appoint recreation commissioner board member, Corey.
I have been. I don't necessarily have to be it, but
Does anybody, Mike, do you wanna do that?
if anyone's really wanting to be on the rec board,
Kids don't play rec sports.
yeah.
Makes sense to me. You're gonna be there anyways.
Yeah.
I'm fine with,
Corey?
I gotta be there anyway.
Yeah. You do a great job, Rita.
Thanks.
Appoint site-based council board representatives, elementary school,
I'll take that one.
middle school,
I've been in middle school, but I'd probably go to high school this year.
uh,
I can do middle school.
you know, middle school, Kelly Bowen, middle school, and high school, Dave. Community Foundation Board Representative. Who was it now, Troy?
That's me right now.
That's Mike, I mean,
I'll do it again.
Professional Development Council Board
I
Representative.
want this one again.
don't do a lot with this one.
You signed your name once.
You did?
You did just last month.
Oh, that's right.
Kelly couldn't wait to get that one.
It's a big time commitment, but I'm willing to do it for the students and the teachers.
Way to sacrifice yourself.
It's for anybody listening. Just kidding,
You got me laughing now.
sorry.
Consent agenda to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of June 11, 2020.
Make a motion for that.
Well, you
We'll
kind
do it
of
all.
go
You wanna
through
read 'em?
everything and we make one motion.
Okay, Correspondence,
No correspondence.
treasurer's report.
I'll go through this quickly as I can here. So on the treasurer's report, you're gonna see that, we got a lot of our money in. Some of it was late, but we did get all of our money in from the state. On the general, you'll see that some of that came in and was transferred to special ed, that 191,000. Going on down on 610, we got some more general money. And then on 626, we got another big chunk of money, 432,607. So we just got all of our ending money in June. Supplemental general, 195, that's the Osage County treasurer on the LOB. So the LOB money came in at the end, after taxes, state of Kansas, on LOB, so that's our, state aid on LOB. Capital outlay, Osage County treasurer, 55,000 came in. And then on food service, we got some state money, 37,000. And we got a little bit over on career tech ed too. If you turn that page over, we got some bond and interest money from the county treasurer, 117,000, and then a little bit of title money. Go on back. Petty cash, I don't think we had any reimbursements. Payment of the bills, on page 1, I highlighted some of these. There's just a lot of requisitioning you're gonna see here at the end of the year. The first one I highlighted was Lenovo Chromebooks, 19,000. Go on down. Century Business, that's our printer copier contract, 17,000. Some city bills. On page, yeah,
I have a question, sorry.
go ahead.
On the registration for engineering for Brock,
It's a STEM, I think,
is
STEM.
that a year or is that multiple years or is that?
I think it was a one-time thing.
I think it was a program, and I think it's one time, but I could get back with you on
Is
that.
that something he's already doing?
It's part of Perkins funding, I believe. It's a Perkins funding thing that we might get some reimbursement on.
I got you.
Yeah. I'd have, if you wanna know exact, I'd go back and get it for you, but I know it's Brock. Jay asked that too, I'm sure that's what it is. Page 2. We got a 65 inch interactive TV, one of our new teachers, we had to shuffle some things around. Durbin Student Assurance, that's our student accident insurance. Pre-K 12, that goes on every year. Edgenuity license, that's a concurrent license. That's a yearly thing. Down there on towards the bottom, the KERP, 114,000. Property insurance that we talked about last time. Page 3, McElroy's, there's the boilers. And the boilers are almost done. We're waiting on a couple of parts. Once they get those parts, they'll put those pipes up through the roof that you see back there. But those aren't coming until, I think Dan said the 12th is what they told him. Everyday Math, that's a 5-year subscription for the elementary. It's K5. Is that K5?
Yes.
Yes. Midwest Coating, that's the board roof. 15,485, and that's done. We had some football field spraying and fertilizing at Midwest Laser level. Right underneath that's Moby Max registration, that's yearly. More for designs. Underneath that are the record boards, which look really good. They're up, hanging on the wall already. Those turned out really nice. I like the way they look. Great job on that. There's some other things. Those are the ones that I highlighted. There's some Ames Web down there that's a yearly lot. A lot of the technology stuff is they're just getting you on the yearly costs every year. It's just kind of a killer. Then on the page 4, that's another one of those STEM Perkins reimbursement things. That's for Project Lead the Way. And I know we've put in for a Perkins grant on those. So I think we should get most of that money back. Quality Built Construction for the bike rack. It's not really a bike rack, it's for the concrete that we filled out in front to put the bike rack on.
Oh, the whole?
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
was,
I like it much better.
it does look nice.
it sure cleaned it up and helped keep mud out of the building, or will. Football helmets, Rydell. Then our Greenbush expenses every year, those are all the programs that we're involved with Greenbush. Parents as teachers, school improvement, crisis, there's all kinds of different things that we do with them. On page 5, Teal Plumbing, we had air conditioner repair. I think that was above this building right here, that library. Woodward Painting and Restoration, that's done. We paid the rest of that and they did a good job. The gym looks real nice. The walls are cleaned up and look good. And then the Three Lakes, the last one is a Three Lakes co-op. That's Medicaid money that comes to us and then it goes to us and right over to them. They get that money. Addendums, spent the money out and transferred the rest of it.
Sorry, Troy, I got one quick
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
As far as teacher requisitions, coach requisitions, like, do we feel that we've gotten through most of those, or?
They're all purchased. Everything's done. And there was some money that it was encumbered that would, for later, but everything was purchased. Every requisition went through. So,
Thank you.
I put this on your desk and on your workspace, and I do that. I try to do this every year. It just goes through, and it's just a history is all it is. If you look real quickly, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time because you can look through this later, but it's just, the first one is a history of the general fund and the special ed fund. The special ed money is flow-through money. Okay, so if you count the special ed and the general fund, that's the money there. The next headline is the general fund, not including special ed or LOB. Okay. Then on page 3, those are just a history of enrollments, operating budget that includes special ed, LOB, our mill rate for the year, and our budget increase or decrease. The next page 4 is a history of special ed state aid. You can see that this just keeps going up. At the end, 2019, that's state aid for SPED. Co-op assessments, those unfortunately keep going up too. They will, I was told that they will go up again next year without a doubt. Not,
And co-op.
that came from
is-
Dale Dennis,
That's Three Lakes.
yes,
Co-op, okay.
because they're not getting the money that they should be getting, so it's gonna come from us. Okay, so we gotta count on that will get an increase. These are, the next page on 5, those are just beginning cash balances. And I like to kind of show you where we're at on beginning cash, and that's kind of how we transfer the money. If you look at 2020, you can go back and look at the other years later if you want to, but just 2020, those are our beginning cash balances after we made transfers. Capital outlay is down, but we knew it would be down because we just spent almost $400,000. So we knew that was going to happen. But everything's out of there that we've done so far as the roof, the boilers, and the gym floor is encumbered. Contingency, we haven't put any money in that for several years because it's high enough, we think. It just rides there. Special ed, I tried to, that's down a little bit, but I tried to, well, it's not really, it's up a little bit. But we know special ed's gonna go up too. And remember, we have to have about 3.5 months, or 3.5 payments in there ahead of time. Okay, because we don't get tax money until October or later, so we have a couple of payments that we have to make before we get any money, so we have to have that money in there.
We pay this to the co-op?
That goes to the co-op.
Okay.
Those are our
What's
assessments.
the assessments over here?
Yes, and they're split up into 4 assessments,
Okay,
okay?
So does each district pay that towards the co-op?
Yeah, each district pays their percentage of the amount that goes through the co-op. We each have a little bit, we're like 20%. Santa Fe Trail's more than that, but everybody else would be less than that.
Okay.
West Franklin's right behind us, and then probably Linden, Burlingame, and
Based on enrollment, is
it's
that?
based on enrollment. Yeah,
So that number on the co-op assessment, that's the total number for the year
that was what we paid
in 2019.
If you- if you go back on to page 4, 529, 497. That was what we paid, but it was split up into 4 payments. Yep. And then I just like to put this, well, let me go down. Food service, we're in pretty good shape. Professional development is pretty near what we've had. Vocational, we put some in there. One thing that we're kind of looking at is we may not get paid for vocational transportation. That was said at the budget workshop, they're gonna cut that. So that, we need to look at that. We did have money to, in the LOB that we didn't have the authority to spend this year, so that moves to next year's budget. And what that will do is help us with our mill levy, because we have that much in there already. We didn't have that, if you remember, we had that problem last year where we didn't have all of our tax money in time, so we had to play that shuffle game a little bit with contingency. I don't know if you guys weren't here to
you
know
mentioned
that.
it when we met.
Yeah, but this year we got that back on track, and we had some money, which that should help us with our mill levy a little bit going when we do the budget. At-risk money, we're pretty good shape there. 4-year-old at risk and bond and interest. Now, I just put this little blurb in here. Back in when they were doing the cash carryover studies and back in looking at the budget, that study recommended to the state that we have 15% or somewhere between 12 and 20% cash carryover on your funds, not including capital outlay, bond and interest, LOB, and food service, because you get, that's money that comes from the county to.
When you say carryover, you mean from year to year?
Yes, we carried over money, transferred money into those accounts, beginning cash. Yes. So we're about 14.8%, so we're right on target with that this year.
And how recent is that study?
It's old, but it was back, it would be back when the lawsuit was going on with school funding. When I say old,
Couple years.
5, 6 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna guess 5 or 6 years ago.
1972.
Yeah, it wasn't that old, not that old, but not that far back.
That'd be an old anyhow.
I didn't say that was old, I'm just saying it's older than
And I
5
would have
years ago.
I would have not remembered Alvarez and Marcel, except Dale Dennis mentioned it at our budget meeting, so I wrote that down real quick, cause I forgot what that study was. But that's what they recommend, so 15%, we're just below it. And then the rest of it's just some averages and on those accounts and stuff. And then on page 9, or page 8 at the bottom, I just do some 5-year averages and where we're at. I mean, you can look at that later. Fund
And the
distributions.
majority of that's because of our boilers and all that, correct?
What's that?
The reason those numbers are adding up that way.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
capital
Big
outlay is
expense.
low.
Capital outlay's low, that's the reason. Everything else is this pretty good shape.
Close, Jim.
Capital outlay's down from what we've had. And then just, I've given you guys this stuff before, but just as a refresher, because it's good to remind yourself what those funds are for. And I have a description in there of all those funds, to just kind of help you out. And then on the back, that's just an actual head count, not FTE, just actual head count that we try to keep track of. And it's kind of deceiving a little bit because the last three numbers, we're including the special ed, preschool, and at-risk preschool numbers, which we didn't used to do, so.
About how many is that a year? Would you, if you had to guess, 50?
Special ed, preschool, and at-risk,
I'm just curious how it compares to the other,
maybe 30
30-ish?
to 40,
Okay.
I'm gonna guess. I'd have to go back and look for sure.
I don't need an exact number, I was just curious how much it impacted the numbers.
So that's just a history for you guys and kind of keep up with what we got going on there. I think I'm done. Did I go through everything? I think I did. I think I'm done with that. Unless you have questions.
I'd make a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular board meeting of June 11, 2020, the treasurer's report, and payment of the bills in the amount of $676,774.27 for July 8, 2020, and the June, July, and August 2020 payroll in the amount of $1,153,627.21.
Second, aye.
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 Old business, high school graduation update.
I'm keeping this on because we're monitoring things. It changes as we speak. We're in, I guess with the county, we're in phase 4. They did not bring us out, to my knowledge. They haven't done that yet. So that, to me, doesn't really change much.
Phase 4 is what the county said we're in, which keeps it where there's no limitations on stuff.
Mass gatherings, I can go through phase 4. Mass gatherings will no longer be restricted in number. Osage County does not mandate the use of masks or facial coverings, but recognizes the significance of utilizing them. Social distancing guidelines will continue to be encouraged, as well as practicing good hygiene. Business, schools, and other entities, public or private, may choose to require patrons, customers, employees, or other people to wear masks when in attendance inside a business while working or when engaged. So I don't know, as far as I know, we're still on. You want to add anything, Mr.
Yeah,
Chief?
I've been looking at it and some different ideas about graduation. Obviously, we wanted to have it down at the football field, and that's my hopes. Even with the ongoing number changes and restrictions possibilities, I had an idea given to me by another teacher that attended a graduation in Anderson County. They put all the students up in the stands and they were spread out, so they were kind of social distanced. And then the podium would be down on the track, and then parent or family groups were invited to be in lawn chairs or blankets out on the football field. And it worked pretty good. And then not limiting numbers.
They
I
can
think
space
people would
out.
be more comfortable about being around family groups opposed to being squashed on the bleachers.
Not a lot.
So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Otherwise, the plan was to have kids on the track in chairs, the podium on the football field, and the crowd would be all in the bleachers. I think that would really pack people in there. I did talk to Andy, and Andy could live stream it, so we could promote that as well, and then maybe that would cut down on some maybe elderly folks that would otherwise try to attend, wouldn't need to, because then they could watch it live streaming if they chose to do that, because some people may be uncomfortable about attending, so that might be a good alternative for some people to attend, that they could watch that via live stream. So haven't worked all the details out. It will be short. We don't have a band to play. We don't have a choir to sing. So we will have the recorded pomp and circumstance walking in. We'll have the student speeches. presentation diplomas, and then we'll be out of there. So I could say, 45 minutes as usual. Without the music, I can say we're gonna be around 30 minutes, which should probably be all right with the heat anyway. If parents are gonna be out on the football field, and I just drove right by the football field before coming here, and the field is in sunshine. The kids will be in the shade. They're gonna be there pretty early. We're gonna do dress rehearsal at 10 o'clock in the morning. Walk through, kind of show them where they're gonna sit. And then go through rehearsal. And then come back around 5:30. We're gonna do individual pictures with a diploma and cap and gown. And then we'll do a group picture, a class picture, probably in the bleachers somehow. Haven't really decided how to do that yet. But since I had a little leftover money from our activity account, since we didn't have fall spring sports, I'm gonna buy all the seniors a class picture and 2 individual pictures. And then parents could go on to Strawbridge and purchase more pictures if they choose to. But the one picture, the class picture, and the 2 individuals will be free to the kids. So that's kind of the plan right now, unless you have other ideas or wishes or things you'd like me to do. I think I had Jay and Kelly handing diplomas. So if you could be there during rehearsal on the 18th at 10, if you can't, that's fine. I mean, I can show you kind of what to do
I'll let
right
you know.
beforehand, so. But if you
Come
can't,
back we don't need to be there for the pictures.
don't need to be there for pictures, so just be there. Everybody else that'd be there, that you want to attend quarter till, so that'd be great, and I can show you where to sit and whatnot. I'll invite staff to sit up in the bleachers on both sides of the students, so staff and families can sit up there with the students if they choose to. Otherwise, they could be out on the football field if they want to. But I'd like to get something out tomorrow, because my plan. I was kind of waiting for tonight to happen, so unless you had different ideas or comments or something you would want me to do.
I like the idea because it spreads everyone out as far as they want to be. It's like if we have it in the stands, I was thinking we'd have to have a stand separate in between each family, just to have some type of distance, which will limit the amount of people, so.
It might even offer pictures to be a little bit better. If somebody wants to get a little closer to the podium to take a picture, they could do that. Otherwise, they were gonna be restricted to be behind the fence and not be out, so that might even help them out a little bit there too, so.
I think it's a great idea. It's not gonna hurt the football field with chairs and blankets out there.
I don't believe so, especially if they're only out there, some will show up a little early, half hour.
To get the spot.
So if they
I
throw,
want the 50
Don't bring their barbecue grills and everything.
picnic baskets are welcome, but they can throw blankets out or lawn chairs, whatever they choose to do, so.
Sounds like a good plan.
I like it.
Thank you.
Sprinklers won't come on, will they?
We are certainly hope to have
We
them
wanna
turned
make
off.
sure that we
We've
get
turned them
that
off a couple
taken care of.
times now for a wedding and whatnot, so.
Sitting there in July facing the sun, might be welcome.
Yeah.
That will add to the yearbook photos for sure. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hutton, I'm sure everybody's been waiting for this one.
Oh, there's a lot. I'm not gonna, we'll try to get, just to explain what I put on your workspace there. We've done a couple, and I wanna thank these guys. I've been dragging them in they're not on duty, but I've been dragging them in all summer, and I feel bad about it, but I don't have much choice. We're just in that, this is gonna be, I told them before the summer started, it's gonna be that way. It's gonna be weird. But I would do is thank them. I wanna thank the task force of teachers that are helping put this stuff. We've met a time or two and on with them, and they've helped get this stuff going too. But what I've given you is basically, we're trying to get ahead of the game. A couple of surveys. One of those went out today. That's a staff survey, and you've got the results that'll help us. And a lot of the big questions on there, outside of we talked a little bit on the first page about how did it go the first round, but the more important questions are open-ended, and there's some responses in there. As we focus on the plan for safe return in the fall, what precautions can the district have in place to help you feel more comfortable? So we got, I mean, it's all over the spectrum. It's just like you see on the news, you get opinions all over the map. But one of them that is pretty consistent is that we clean and disinfect very well. And we have a lot of hand sanitizer. Masks have come up, and I know at Osage County, in the Osage County Commission, we just went through that. It's not mandatory, but schools can do that. I don't know if the board has an opinion on that or not. As far as my gut tells me, the best thing we can probably do with masks is make it optional for staff and students right now, unless something would change. I am a little concerned about busing. That's my biggest concern. I've got some pretty vulnerable bus drivers, and I am concerned about that. Maybe that it would be a good idea to have the kids in a mask at least while they're on the bus.
And we checked into, I know like the General Transportation Department here, put shields up around their drivers.
Can't do that in a school bus.
You know,
It's illegal. Yeah, you can't modify it. And I didn't know that until that's been asked, so it came up. Temperature checks is another one that's kind of out there. That's really hard to do on a bus unless you have somebody on the bus with them, because bus drivers' jobs are hard enough, and it's hard to find enough bus drivers. And if I lose bus drivers, I don't know if I can replace them. That's really difficult. So,
which brings back, how would they be able to keep track of the kids keeping the mask on?
they
They'd
won't.
almost have to have
They
somebody
won't.
in there regardless.
I don't know if it's a good idea or bad idea. I just know I really want to protect the bus drivers, and I want to protect everybody, but that is a concern. Temperature checks, it's pretty hard to singly check every kid when you got 700 kids coming in the room, the doors. One of the things that we've looked at, Andy's not here, but he's shown us this, and I don't know how y'all would feel about this, but we can get cameras to plug right into our surveillance system that will scan the people as they come in the doors in groups and singly, but face recognition, and it does a block on a forehead, and it does a scan of their temperatures as they come in the doors. Now what that does is it gives you a reading that may or may not be accurate, but it tells you if they most likely have a temperature that you need to check. It can be off like, I forget, 0.9 or something. Then you take those people and you double check them, but those are expensive. They're about $5,000 a camera. And we'd need at least 3, maybe 4 of them if we were gonna do that. I don't know how the board would feel about
Is that something that the COVID money would pay for?
Could be. Definitely COVID money could pay for that. I don't know if you think that's a good idea, bad idea, or I don't wanna go spending that kind of money without at least that's a good idea, or maybe that's not a good idea. But we've talked about it.
We think it's a good idea at the elementary, just because we know we have parents that will send their kids that don't register their temperature until about 10:30 or 11 when it's about lunchtime. And they were talking about putting one right in the lunch line, and that would definitely help my teachers and eliminate them for having to check temperatures right before they go to lunch, but also get those kids that are sick, that have been at school for a couple of hours, but the Tylenol or whatever has now worn off, and we didn't catch them coming in because they didn't have a temperature because they had Tylenol in it. But now, because they've been there at school, it's worn off, and now they have the temperature, and we send them to the nurse's station. I thought it was a really good idea, at least in the lunch line.
So who would monitor would it be the nurse that would monitor that?
It would be somebody at the reception area.
Would you have to monitor that thing all the time?
No,
Or just during certain
We talked about doing it just when people come in the door in the mornings, and then you may be a good idea to put one in when they go through the lunch line. And then
So then Mrs. Creetaw would be available.
if we had a kid that we thought had a temperature, then we double check it with a regular thermometer. We've got 17 thermometers. We've ordered a lot of stuff. We got a lot from the county just the other day that was free. And we need to continue that supply coming, but we've got a lot of different things. I thought about getting the kids masks for the building, but I don't know whether to jump on that just yet, because some of the teachers you see in there think that that's a good idea and some don't. So I think at this point, I think that almost needs to be optional until we get some different guidance. That's my recommendation at this point, but I certainly wouldn't want to tell somebody they couldn't wear a mask. But I kind of switched gears on you there, but
I'm gonna guess at the high school, everybody's gonna have their own designer mask that. if
Our
they're gonna
Chiefs
wanna-
ones just showed up yesterday.
You could create a problem there, cause people look what he's got, how come I don't get one of those?
That reopening plan actually said the students would supply their own face masks.
we could get them face masks, but I think I don't know. Those are $1 million questions that there are no answers that are correct.
How's that camera work? I mean, does it have to pinpoint people moving
It-
through at a certain space?
It's pretty cool. I watched a demo on it. It just, you put it up where it covers everybody that comes in the door, and it does a block, like a digital square on their head, and it hits them right there. And it takes a digital readout of the temperature, and when it flags somebody, it actually takes a picture of that, and it goes into a data system. But then you go back and you find who that is, and you check their temperature.
So if you have like it is in the morning where kids are coming in all three doors at one time.
We'd have to
at
have
high
three.
speed,
We'd have to have 3 or 4 of them, and we might need to slow them down coming in the doors,
that's what I wondered. You have
but
to
not
use
terrible.
containment to catch everybody, or how does that?
I think it catches more. I've seen.
So
A lot of
it-
businesses have them too.
It'll have 20 kids at one time, or?
20 would be a lot, but when they come in, they can only come in
The reality is
2 or
20
3
kids
doors,
are coming in the
2
door
or
at the
3
same
doors
time.
at a time. So you're most likely you're gonna catch.
At our front doors where all the bus kids come in, and they pretty well come in at 7:35, so we have 4 buses unloaded at the same time. And so that's probably the busiest door in the morning, all at one time. And so, certainly we could have one door, so they're filing through one door instead of all 3 of them, or maybe 2 doors, but it doesn't take long for them to get in.
So would that also pick up, like if somebody that's not in our school showed up?
With the temperature, anybody that
No, I'm
comes.
talking if somebody that, say somebody's planning to do something crazy here and they walked in with the students.
We already have cameras.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not needed for that, because we already have that coverage.
Okay.
But this, I just don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of money, but
Could you assign a thermometer per grade and then they check,
we talked
say
about
when they come
spreading
in,
those out.
come into the classroom, they basically beam them?
Yeah.
And then when they go to lunch, when they line up, you beam them as they walk out the door,
We could do it that way too.
you know?
I
I
mean,
mean, it'd be some coordination for the thermometer itself, but that might,
and we can get some more thermometers. I mean,
I
that's
can't,
not an issue.
How many
class,
thermometers can you buy for $5,000?
A bunch.
I
They're
would,
about $80 a piece.
from what I mean, it sounds like having us as a district supplying Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer and having that, because I think it will be hard for students to just find it
Yeah,
at
they won't.
Walmart. They won't be
They
able
won't find
to.
that.
As far as how we should spend our money I'm with Dina, maybe it's one at the lunchroom, because I think that is a crowd of kids, and the Tylenol has definitely worn off by then. I don't know, I think before we talk about those cameras, I mean, in addition to talking about the cameras, we need to talk about what do we think about the masks, what do we think about supplying hand sanitizers or,
I think we've already talked about buying masks, I just don't know if everybody's gonna wanna wear one.
I mean, I was just reading, it'll be interesting what the survey that we send out to the parents, what the parents will say. It looks like the teachers were,
They're kinda all over the place.
but it was, I mean, there wasn't really any hard,
Some,
I refuse to wear a mask.
no, I didn't see any of that.
So what's the consequence? So if we think about if we choose one or with the other, how does that impact maybe other things? So
Right.
if we were to choose optional masks, does that mean we then need to make sure that we are 6 feet apart in the classrooms or not?
We will do the very best we can to social distance, but that's really, really difficult in our classrooms. You get 24 kids in a classroom and you can't get 6 foot apart.
Oh yeah, totally
So-
agree. I just didn't know through what the county had said, if by not wearing masks, we're allowed to do the best we can. Or if it has to be the social distance 6 feet.
You may get some more guidance
Yeah.
on that.
'Cause I think
I'm
that's-
gonna expect the CDC's coming out with more guidance for schools, and also I'm gonna think we'll get some guidance on that.
From
But
the
they're,
state.
but they're not gonna tell us what to do. I'm gonna tell you that. I don't think that's gonna happen.
When's the state gonna put out their stuff? Is it gonna be the end of the month, middle of the month?
Next week,
Next week.
tomorrow I get a rough draft, and then they go to the State Board of Education on the 15th, and then we have a Zoom meeting on the 16th.
That's that Thursday.
That's
So could the
Thursday.
State Board of Education mandate that everybody wears a mask? Or could they or would they do that?
I have no idea, Jay.
And how would you ever enforce that with the younger kids?
It's really tough when you get to the little ones. I mean,
Go ask summer academy staff right now. I mean, it's
They
common
don't-
when the 4-year-olds
they're hard to
kids
keep
are
them
constantly
on.
fiddling with their mask or taking it off when the
I think
parents
it
wanted
could cause
them to
more
wear it.
problems with changing masks around with the kids and stuff by messing with masks. Now with the teachers, I could see them, but if they wanted to, and that,
Put it on?
yeah, I mean, I could
You're
see
sharing
masks going
masks,
this way,
yeah.
that way, and then, hey, that's not the same mask you got on. No, I got it from Billy Bob.
That's what you're more than they would without them, I'm sure.
If they're the same, you'd have to have a name on them, otherwise they would know. If they laid it on a desk, you would know who's whose.
you wouldn't wanna swap masks.
No, it'd be
I
a,
think it's cold
I,
season when everybody's got a runny nose too.
well, we'll just,
It'll be a real deal.
at this point, I think, what I'm hearing is we just wait on what further guidance is, and, you know, if we switch phases, it may be that we need to do that, but where it's at right now in our county, I would say it's optional, you know, and that's what I came back to me
school
right now,
starts what day?
14th of August, Friday.
So we have another board meeting before school
We have
starts.
one on, that Wednesday of this first week, would it be the 12th, August 12th?
I know we're talking about students, but what about staff as far as, I mean, are they?
Whether they-
Are we gonna require them to wear a mask or if they
I
feel the
think-
need to wear a mask?
I think if they wanna wear a mask, we let them, and we have enough to give them masks, so.
And what if a teacher doesn't feel comfortable teaching in the classroom? I mean, are we gonna have
That's a tough one.
an option for them to do something virtual or?
They may have to do something with virtual with kids, I haven't heard of that, I heard there's one comment that's not real fired up about getting them back with the kids, but we just have to see where that goes.
I mean, cause we don't know how their situations are, you know, with their families and whatnot, and, I mean, yeah, there's,
You got a classroom full of kids, you're gonna have to do something.
Yeah,
Contract.
Do we have any face
but
shields?
but does that
got
contract
20
require them to be in the classroom with them? If they can teach remotely, do we give them that option?
Still have an adult, still have to hire another adult to be in the classroom.
Kids in the class.
Yeah, I mean,
that's probably something that'd have to go to KSB, you know,
Yeah.
and I think there has been some question on that, I've heard different answers, to be quite honest with you. I've heard everything from farthest way to the farthest way.
Yeah.
We'd have to do some checking on that, for sure. And I saw one that's fearful of that on the results. I'm sure we can,
So we can talk about that again in, next meeting or in later here.
But I think, Kat, you were mentioning
Right, is there anything else we need to potentially purchase those so it's here in time by the time we do?
You
start
mentioned
school? So if
shields.
we need face shields for
we have
teachers-
25, I've ordered 25 of those, but we could get some more. I kinda wished I'd have done more of those.
I didn't know if that would help with them being able to show their facial expressions as they're talking.
Mrs. Paul talked about wanting some more of those, so we
Yeah,
can.
I would definitely say that my staff will say that they want the facial shields versus the mask, because a kid's gotta be able to see the expression on their teacher's face, they've gotta be able to see how they pronounce words. And that's really challenging for, 3-year-old, 4-year-old and kindergartners if they cannot see their teacher's lips. So yeah, those shields would be very important, I would say.
If you wore a face mask and wore glasses, all got bad,
Yeah.
so.
What about hand sanitizers as you
Every
know, the
classroom, we've ordered them, they're not here yet.
brand? Okay, great. I just-
Every elementary classroom will have one of those
Dispenser.
hand dispensers outside the room.
Only elementary?
Well, we don't have them in every area in the middle school, but every cove of doors would have one.
So,
So,
You know what I mean? Like if you're down in here in the math department, you could have, there's gonna be one there, or there'll be one on the other side. We couldn't get enough to do every door, but every area where there's doors.
here's one we haven't talked about, but this could be a big issue, is the lunchroom.
We've talked about,
Trays, the food, are we gonna have somebody, we're gonna hand it to them on a plate, or are they gonna pick up, I mean,
they won't be,
How they
I
grab
think
them.
there's some guidance that they won't be able to self-serve. If they will get served their lunch. We're gonna have to get creative about how we can spread out a little bit better in the lunchroom than cause it's, Corey, you've seen it, it's packed in there. We've had some ideas, is even everything from going back to the classroom, which I'm not fired up about, honestly, because of the mess in the carpet. But we have an area off to the side of the gym that we can put some other tables and roll our other tables in there and spread out just for some more space. We have these outside seats that we can use at least for a while. But yeah, we'll try to do the best we can. What's that?
sack lunches, stuff like that.
Do that. That guidance will be coming to Tammy. She's got a Zoom next
Uncrustables
week.
for days.
So that's something that we need to spend some time thinking about as far
Any other
as.
questions on the school reopening?
I think, are you gonna go over, but you're gonna send the staffs or a student or the
This,
student return
the
survey
letter
out?
goes, the letter is ready to go, with the, I kinda was looking for a little bit of guidance in those areas, so what I'm hearing is right now, maybe look at some shields for teachers, maybe the masks, or we wait on further guidance for students and.
Well, I was
make it
gonna
optional.
say, in the survey, do we want to, instead of leaving it open-ended, should we ask a question of the parents if they would prefer their students have,
What-
just to get an idea?
We could add for masks,
Mhm.
yeah, we could add a question, that's one of the, thank you. That's what I brought this for before we send it, cause I wanna know
Versus just being an open-ended
Right.
question, have it be just a,
if you see anything, we could put how do you feel about wearing a face mask? Very comfortable to very uncomfortable.
and it could differ by grade, I mean, it's obviously going to be,
Right,
my expectation for my sophomore would be different than a first grader.
So
Obviously.
Tim, what do you think about in the junior high classes?
Social distancing really can't happen. I mean, I think if as a parent, I would like to have my kids wear a mask if they can, because I think it helps. But I know there's people on the other side of that. We got small classrooms and a lot of kids, so it's gonna be tight. I mean,
Troy? Or Tony?
I've talked to a lot of kids during summertime and they leave it up to them, then some will, some won't. I mean, they're all over the place too. Some are comfortable with it and some think
So
it's
what-
nonsense.
What would we do if we had a child that had some kind of medical history that could not wear a mask?
Don't make them. That's one thing
So
that I have.
that's why you would leave it as optional for,
Yes.
because if you make it, you'd have to almost leave it optional for
Sure
everybody.
can't make somebody wear it if they've got a health issue.
I
that's
think
for
the
sure.
state even said that, mental illnesses or health issues.
I just think if it's, if we propose it is an option and make it a more normal act, there will be more parents and students that are comfortable, if it makes them more comfortable. Than if we stay silent on it or take a stance that we don't make it optional. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. Basically what I'm saying is, my opinion too, as a parent, knowing that they're not gonna be able to social distance, I want my children in masks at the school. I just want them in it and it will not be optional for my two. Now, that's me as a parent. Now, as a board, we have to make a decision. I'm just curious, the parental opinions on that.
Yeah,
If it gets our kids back in the building with the teachers where they wanna be, which I think most students want to be back here with their friends and that is one measure that is inexpensive that can keep them safe and keep them in school, then I hope we can agree upon something in that regard.
I agree with that, cause it's like whatever we need to do to get kids back in every day.
So,
I would add a little to that, Kelly, if we're gonna make masks where we want them to have masks, I think the school needs to issue the mask. So we don't have 14,000 different masks running around.
I mean, I was this far away from buying five masks for every kid, which is about $7,000 or $8,000. But I didn't wanna do it until we
You don't know what
talked.
the masks are gonna be made out of, if people start bringing their own mask and.
These would be cotton.
So
generic,
if
yeah.
high school students come in with their own logoed Indian mask, we're not gonna let them do that?
Me personally, I
Cause I
think
see
you
that
do.
as one of our number one fundraisers as soon as school
right.
starts.
Are you kidding?
No,
I love
I've got them all over the place, I get advertisements every day. They're gonna do a face mask fundraiser.
Really gave it, it's been doing it for 2 months.
You're gonna get different answers for, I mean,
I think,
I think it's good to ask.
My concern is this, is if you have the haves and the have-nots, and you're gonna make the
Yeah.
have-nots feel pretty bad if they can't afford to buy the mask. So
I'm
if we're gonna do
perfectly-
something like that, then I'd have no problem, but let's raise enough money somewhere that we can get all of them masks, so they all have the same mask.
I'll
That's a
keep
COVID
pressing
expense.
Indian on every single one of them. Bring them on, I've worked 711 students. I will do
And
that.
I think that would be the way to do that, and it handles it, and it, nobody feels left out. If that's
You're
the
gonna have to
way.
have multiple, because then somebody's gonna leave it at home,
Exactly.
or
So Troy, the ones that you were
Lost
gonna buy
mine.
aren't just the medical ones,
They're
they'd be a
just white,
cotton.
they're white Hanes.
I've got one on my desk. Good.
The reason I ask is because versus people having cotton ones and then people just having like the blue medical ones. There's a big
No,
difference.
they would be cotton and we'd get each kid 5 of them. We almost did it
So
anyway.
we'd need 3,500 of them basically, or 4,000 of them by the time you figure some spares, cause people are gonna lose them.
Teachers.
5,000, you got teachers, so.
I would say at a minimum, I would spend money on the masks over the temperature cameras.
But maybe some more thermometers, regular thermometers
That's just my opinion.
Face shields.
and face shields.
And face shields. I think for sure the bus drivers, extra precaution.
Yeah.
That's good, bus drivers.
I think we should get them anything they think they need.
Whatever they think they
Oh,
want.
absolutely. Face
Like you
shields,
said, bus drivers, you're not gonna find them sitting on the street corner.
they're not out there. I'm telling you, I'm worried the only thing I could really do to help that situation would be.
Short of a hazmat suit.
Yeah, I mean, if we lose bus drivers, we're in trouble, cause they're not out there, I can't find them, keep looking every year for them, and, but we're okay, we got some subs, but we don't have enough to, so face shields, masks for kids, thermometers, regular thermometers,
So I'm gonna jump ahead here, Troy, for just a second.
okay?
You have in here that you'd like to have a special board meeting on the July 27th. Can we add that to talk about this?
That is
again?
one of the reasons I wanted to have that
Yeah,
meeting,
I was just
is to go through, because by then, I hope that plan is done.
Exactly.
And you guys can review
And
the
then we're not
plan
a
and
week
approve
before
it.
school starts.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's two reasons for that meeting, that there's two possible, reasons for that. One is just, I need approval, I've gotta have a motion to approve to publish the budget. We've done that at this meeting before, and then when we get the budget and we get it checked out at by KSDE, then we just publish it. We can do that at this meeting, or since we're already having that meeting, we can do that at that meeting too. But what I did last year was pretty redundant, because we went over the budget at that meeting, and then we went over it again I didn't have anything to talk about, I'd already talked about it all. But I don't care whichever way you wanna do it, it doesn't matter. But for this year, especially, what I would do is just use that meeting on the 27th to talk about this, go through the reopening plan, and then I'll get a approval to publish the budget, and we'll go that way.
Any other questions on that?
I think I've covered about everything. I appreciate your input.
What about Clorox wipes? I'm sorry, back to,
Those are hard to come by. What we have is,
I didn't know if you guys had any
Spray.
special,
we will try to get them. We have the 3 of these fogger things,
oh, that's right.
one for every building. We got that when they're in. They were hard to come by.
Good,
We got them
good.
early. We have spray bottles, and that kind of thing with wipes. We're gonna do what we need to do.
I was just wondering, yeah. if
We'll try to
you're
get them,
able.
Kelly, but I can't guarantee it on that.
I think-
They're hard to come by.
Sorry, I think the spray bottle and the wipe will be easier because you can mix
It'll be easier to
with
keep
the
it.
solutions,
Yeah.
and then to wipe off, it's easier for anybody to do. The Clorox wipe, then you don't have trash, you don't have
Yeah, that's
that
true, yeah.
residue.
I was just curious if
We're gonna try to get whatever we can, but you're right. That stuff's easier to come by right now than those
And you can
wipes.
make more, you don't
Yeah.
have, you don't run out. and
It's a
then
solution.
you can-
That's true.
You can just remake more.
Yeah.
I'm just going by
And-
what they're doing.
On the mask, so you're gonna have a laundering policy, 5 years to get, or 5 masks.
That's why I'd say 5 days, because if you just get them one, are they gonna get it washed overnight? Probably not, So I think we get every kid 5 masks and just distribute them. They come in a pack of 5, most of them anyway. We even looked at getting, if we don't get the cheapest ones, we could even get different colors, for the days, but
oh
I don't know, that'd be hard to keep track of.
What about a UV ray machine? What about a UV ray machine? Have we looked at any of those?
I don't know anything about those, honestly, yet.
Is that the
I know they
fogger or
used
the-
one at the courthouse the other day.
What is
It's
it?
it's a, and I may be calling it the wrong thing.
I'm gonna have to-
Brought a machine in and they went through all the things with like the blue light deal.
It kills germs.
It kills germs
They're
and,
using them on planes.
but they're pretty expensive, I've heard. And I think they said like they're $5,000. And I'm going by memory here, but
I don't know anything about those, Jay. I mean, I'd have Dan.
I didn't know if
on
KSB said, or,
where we use
KSD said anything or not about them.
Would Dan have any recommendation what his staff uses or like
He's
products
been-
that he
he's
can
been-
get?
He's been purchasing a lot of the solution that you just talked about. And we're gonna try to keep the solution on those foggers because that's quick. We can do a lot of sanitizing quickly with those. So that's primarily what his focus has been on. And the hand dispensers, that's been a big focus. So he hasn't said anything to me about a UV thing, but I just don't know anything about those. But I could ask him to look into that a little bit too.
Alright, so moving on to new business then. KSB policy update.
I sent those out. I don't know if you have any questions. Every year we have policy updates. I can briefly go through a lot of what we had this year, to me, looked like some Title IX, and I have to get some training on that because I'm our Title IX person. But there's some stipulations that have come up on that. That seemed to be the emphasis on discrimination and sexual harassment was the big focus. Trying to look. We have to have a mandatory trainings every year for our staff, and they've added another one, which making it really tough at the beginning of the year to have all these mandatory trainings. But child abuse reporting was a mandatory training. I'm looking for a video on that. They've did some things with tobacco-free, some revisions and wording to include the tobacco product. Just some
It's
mostly
probably
wording.
vaping.
What's that?
Yeah, electric.
Yeah.
Delivery devices.
Yeah. Again, most of this was wording. There was 2 new ones. The tobacco-free one was one of the new ones that prohibits the use of tobacco products, including the use of any product that is made from or derived from tobacco, or like you said, electronic. That's a new policy that we added. The other new one was complaints against policy is required that there's a complaint system for child nutrition program. So that's new. But the rest most of these every year is semantics and wording and just lawyer stuff. They're always, we have already adopted all this KSB policy I might go back to the story. When we adopted all of this policy back in, it would have been like 9 years ago. It was a huge undertaking, and we're still now figuring out some of it, but just a lot of policy. We've been through most of it and been updated. So, but unless you have any questions, it's there. We just
Just make a motion to approve the KSB policy updates from June.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Three Lakes report.
We have not met.
Recreation report.
pool opened, June 15th. So far, we've had close to 2,800 people in the 23 days that we've been open, so that's about 120 people a day. The first week was by far the busiest, so. We're getting into swim lessons right now, lots of private lessons, for this summer, so. We're gonna, Coach Ganbine contacted me, they're gonna do a youth football camp the week of July 27th through the 30th, and, the first part of August we're still planning on 3rd and 4th grade and 5th and 6th grade tackle football at this point. So their checkout and meeting date will be the first week of August, some point. We're still planning on the 7-on-7 tournament July 25th. And then the Conrad Carlson Foundation will do a final softball tournament July 31st and through August 1st. So I don't know if you've been asked to participate or not, but you may, asked to play. So I think talked with Gary, he's got like 16, 17 teams right now. He's trying to get to 18 to even things out. So, but that's it for recreation.
Appoint Patty Bruner as Freedom of Information Officer. Troy, you wanna talk about special board meeting?
I pretty much already did,
So I make a motion, we call a special board meeting on July 27th at 7 PM in order to review school reopening plans and gain approval to publish the 2019-2020.
2021. sorry.
Oh, 2021 budget.
Levy here in the library.
Yes,
Jay, was that 7 or 6:30?
7 is what it's on here for. You want it 7 or 6:30?
it doesn't matter, whatever you guys wanna do. I have 7 on here, but if it's easier,
7's fine.
it's 7.
Second, aye.
Aye.
I,
7.
I just go ahead, I put, just the, kind of the schedule for us working on the budget, which got changed today because KSD put a Zoom meeting next Thursday for me, so I moved, the only thing different on that budget review with KSD is gonna be on the 24th now, not the 22nd, just so you know, I don't think it's some big deal. But I would like to also have a motion to have the budget hearing at 7 PM on August 12th prior to the regular meeting in here.
I'd make that motion to hold the budget hearing at 7 PM on August 12th prior to our regularly scheduled board meeting in the high school library.
Aye.
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 Blue Cross Blue Shields, they're still our healthcare provider.
Just the motions.
So I guess we're gonna make a motion to keep Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas as our healthcare provider.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to transfer funds.
I make a motion, we authorize the superintendent to transfer funds as needed.
Second, aye.
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 OFG Financial through Bay Bridge as district cafeteria plan. I make that motion.
Second, aye.
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 The hearing officer for school food service appeals should be the superintendent. Appoint Patty Brunner as food service representative. I would suggest the following petty cash limits to be set for the year: superintendent $350, high school $200, middle school $200, elementary school $200. I should have made that a motion, I'm sorry. I'll make that a motion to set those cash limits.
Aye.
Aye.
I'd make a motion to reimburse the mileage rate at a rate of 57 cents per mile.
Second, aye.
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 I'd make a motion to establish a substitute rate at the current rate of $100 per day.
Aye.
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 The superintendent would be the compliance coordinator for the federal title programs in section 504. Dan Fager should be appointed as the asbestos representative. The superintendent should be the homeless children and educational services coordinator.
And then I'd like to just go ahead and get some board approval to have a faculty staff luncheon on the workday, August 13th. That's been pretty traditional. I don't remember a time where we didn't do that. Usually around.
Faculty lunch on Thursday, August 13th.
Second.
Aye.
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 Jay, before we move into the next item, can I ask one more question? Just on the parent survey, are we
Yes.
having due date for when they must respond, so maybe we have a chance to look at the comments before we have our next board meeting?
My plan is to revise that and get that out with that letter as soon as possible, like this week.
Okay,
So,
kind of whatever we have,
You'll send it out.
whatever we have, I'll have the results.
okay. Just thinking
I'd
if we
never
could
be able to get them
see
all
it.
back, but yeah. Yeah, we'll try to, I would really like to get this out this week if possible.
Does anybody have any other thoughts on the questions?
Yeah, I guess if.
Good. I move we go into executive session to discuss potential certified position, classified positions, and supplemental position pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under coma, and the meeting to resume in the boardroom at 8:25 with the administration to be present.
Second, aye.
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 Grant the transfer request of Marion Smith to middle school science and also to open a full-time substitute position.
Second, aye.
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 Motion to adjourn?
Second, aye.
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 Thank you guys.
Did you want these back, Troy, these?